Just when you thought Joe Biden and the Democratic Party couldn't have got any more delusional, you get this. Don't forget, Joe Biden is still y'all president for a couple of more weeks. Let's hit it.
President Biden now expressing regret for dropping out of the 2024 race. A new revealing report saying, quote, Biden and some of his aides still believe he should have stayed in the race despite the rocky debate performance and low poll numbers that prompted Democrats to pressure him to drop out. Biden and these aides have told people in recent days that he could have defeated Trump. Here to discuss is Democratic strategist and former press secretary to Jill Biden, Michael LaRosa, and Republican strategist Katie Frost. Welcome to both of you. Why don't we start with Michael, because you actually worked with Joe Biden. Tell us your side of this story. Do you think that Joe Biden could have been a better candidate at the end of the day than Kamala Harris?
Well, I think what he's looking at, Rachel, is sort of this undeniable fact that, look, he got the most votes of any president in history. He got 81 million votes. He won 4 years ago with over 51% of the vote.
Would he have been a better candidate than Kamala Harris? That's a tricky question because you're talking about a person who you can tell is just incompetent. She wouldn't have been a great world leader. Didn't seem like she knew what she was doing with the job. Remember, she got in and then she went into hiding. People said they hadn't seen her. She, her and Joe Biden and probably Jill Biden wasn't getting along. But you could tell in the debates and some of her record in California that she probably would not have been a great president. So she would have to have handlers. And then you talk about Joe Biden, who has a history, who's a lifelong politician. So who probably has, a great political mind and a great history and a record, whether you like it or not. I'm just being a devil's advocate right now for the Democratic Party. But his mind is gone. I mean, his mind has been gone. He just did a video about how they kept him under wraps, away from people in DC, so that no one would actually see his mental capacity and how it had diminished. But yet you had all these people lying, saying that he's in great shape, everything is great, and they think he could still be the greatest president of all time, which was a straight lie.
That's 7 million votes more than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump still wasn't able to really get over the hurdle of 50%. He still can't get half the country to support him. Now, the other side to this is that all the exit polls show that in all of the swing states, President Biden's approval rating was at or below 42% in those 7 swing states that really decided the election. So it was going to be a huge hurdle to overcome. That said, putting Harris on the ticket, Rachel, allowed us to flip 3 seats in California and 4 seats in New York that may have otherwise not have flipped and shrunk the House GOP majority.
Well, that's an interesting look. At this are the Biden approval ratings: 34% approved, 66 disapproved.
Now you might look at these numbers and say, well, hell, if it was 66% disapprove and 34% approval, he could have easily beat Donald Trump. The thing about polls is that it doesn't matter if they approve or disapprove of them. The point is the way people were voting was like a popularity contest between him and Donald Trump. You see what I'm saying? Like if you ask people about him just on an individual level, just on a job that he has done or the job they feel that he can do, then it's like 66% approve of what he's disapproved of what he's done and 34% approved of what he's done. But then when you flip it and say, hey, between him and Trump, who'd you rather have president? They probably would have said Joe Biden, just on popularity because you're comparing 2 people. But we're talking about the Democrats and whoever you survey in the polling and what have you. So you got to look at it like 2 different ways. Stats don't always tell the whole picture. Sometimes you got to dive a little deeper into some numbers to actually see which way you're going, because Democrats, they would have told you, they would have sworn down that Kamala Harris was going to win this president election, and she didn't.
So I don't know, Katie.
Didn't
What are
win
your
the swing state at all.
thoughts?
Well, it's great to be with you, Rachel. And I'll say, if President Biden thought that he could have defeated President Trump after the worst debate performance in presidential history, I don't think we need to look any further for signs of cognitive decline. There is absolutely no way he was up to the task of defeating President Trump. And he also was not able to serve another 4 years as president. He's barely
See,
been
what I'm saying. You can't, like, those two different things she's talking about. Will he be able to beat Trump, or will he be able to serve for another 4 years in office? And the question I could tell you on the second one is no. He wouldn't have been able to serve 4 years, probably not even serve 4 months. He would have had handlers like he probably has now to handle the business and to put, handle the work, the government business. Now, when he had beaten Donald Trump, it was looking bad when they had that debate. And a lot of people were saying, man, people with some sense. Now, if you got people with some sense that was going to vote, because let's just be honest. I believe if Joe Biden would have stayed in his race, more black people would have voted for Joe Biden this year and he would have won this election. Sadly, they would have just voted him just because they hate Trump, just because they hate a person so much. They would have voted for their demise. And it's nothing new. People do that all the time. They, go the way they know is wrong, but what they say, cut off your nose to spite your face. That's the only reason why he would have won the presidency.
Able to serve these past 4 years, why would anyone think he could have served another term? We now have confirmation from the reporting in the Wall Street Journal of what we all witnessed with our own eyes, is that he was struggling to do the very basic functions of the presidency. And the fact that we essentially had a shadow government of unelected staffers who were covering up his inability to govern while they were making decisions for our country is a serious scandal of unbelievable magnitude. There are a lot of questions that need to be asked about this. Hopefully those will be asked under oath, because this is a scandal that makes Watergate look like robbing a lemonade stand.
No question. I think it's one of the biggest political scandals in our lifetime. I mean, the amount of people that were implicated in this cover-up of his mental decline is remarkable. And top of the list, Michael, is Jill Biden, who you work for. In fact, she was campaigning so extensively on behalf of her husband in Iowa that Joe Biden's team said it's making Joe look bad because she's everywhere. We even saw that crazy photo of her sitting at in some cabinet meeting with her glasses. I mean, was she the president?
No.
Yeah, she probably was. And you could tell in some of the debates that he was having, and she was holding his hand. You saw people guide Joe Biden in and out of the off the stage. I'm sure she was telling him what to do, what to say. I'm sure she was there in his ear all the time. She did not want her husband to lose, and she probably felt really bad and upset by the way that they was handling her. I'm willing to bet that she probably knew before they asked Joe Biden to step down that there was a possibility that they was going to ask him to step down. And she did not like it, and she probably thought it was, like it was just disgraceful. And she definitely did not want Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee because she knew she wasn't ready. She didn't want her to be vice president, and she knew she wasn't ready. She's probably the only person on the Democratic Party who had the cojones to try to do something to keep that woman from winning, even if it meant her husband going back out there and running again.
Of course not. Look, she did. She was his most effective surrogate, his best campaigner. She traveled a ton, and she did it while she was teaching full time. There's no question that.
But she did it more than him. That's the problem, right?
Well, I think what they were trying to say to me at the time was, remember, I was new. I was working for the supporting actor, and here I am bragging about my boss, who I love and adore. And look, it was undeniable that she traveled to more counties, and that was all a public record. So I couldn't lie to the reporter, right? I had to just say, yeah, of course that's true.
Sure.
And what their point was is that age was dogging the campaign from the very beginning. And that was their point to me, is that this is always going to be an issue. Let's just try to not make her look great at the expense of him.
Really quick, Katie, last question. I don't have a lot of time. Is it the case that as bad as Joe Biden was campaigning, his age, his mental decline, that he still could have been a better candidate than Kamala Harris?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think that's going to be a popular parlor game. Could he have been a better candidate than Kamala Harris? She, of course.
Now, I haven't heard her answer yet, but here's what I want you to think about. See, well, I don't know how young she is. Typical white lady. Remember how you had people saying that they felt that white women abandoned them, turned their back on the Democratic Party, turned their back on black women when the black women was there for them. And then when it came to vote, they went and voted for Donald Trump. And I and other men tried to tell y'all that they were not going to go against their men. And rightfully so. And trying to tell y'all that's the same way y'all should think about us. I'm talking to black women. You don't go against your men. You don't go against your better judgment. They have time and time again. You have seen them in history. They'll get out there, out front, campaign, rah, this and the third, want y'all to join them in these different efforts and campaigns and don't wear bra, womenism, feminism, all this kind of stuff, LMNOP, whatever the case may be, reproductive rights, all that stuff. And then they turn around and go right back and vote for Donald Trump because that's what their husband do. And then you sitting there looking like Willie the Fool, like you don't know what happened. They left you out there dangling in the wind. So the woman asked her, I'm gonna rewind this just a little bit so she can ask this question. She's gonna ask her this question about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who would be the better candidate. And I want to see if her answer, if she's going to give like a direct answer. If she don't give a direct answer, then she know what her bread is buttered. If she do give a direct answer, is she part of the Democratic Party? If she is part of the Democratic Party. So we're going to see. She know what her bread is buttered or she's a real true feminist. Let's see.
Let's just try to not make her look great at the expense of him.
Really quick, Katie, last question. I don't have a lot of time. Is it the case that as bad as Joe Biden was campaigning, his age, his mental decline, that he still could have been a better candidate than Kamala Harris?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think that's going to be a popular parlor game. Could he have been a better candidate than Kamala Harris? She, of course, struggled in so many ways that we all witnessed, but it really does not depend if it was Harris or was it Biden. The real problem here is they didn't have a primary where the candidates could be properly vetted, and that ended up being their own undoing.
Yeah, it was very.
She knows where her bread is buttered. She was not about to talk against that white dude for now, black woman. Even if she is a fake black woman, she was not about to talk against her at all.
Undemocratic. That's for sure. Michael LaRosa, Katie, always great having you both on. Thanks for joining us.
So yeah, this guy and his age and his handlers, they are delusional as hell, man. There's no way in heck he would have beat. I feel no way in the world he would have beat Trump. Matter of fact, after I saw that debate, we already knew that Trump was going to win. There was no way. The Democratic donors and people were saying, "Hey, he needs to drop out," or they're not giving money and this and the third. So no, he would not have won. Why? Because he didn't have the backing of his support group, of his main support group. He didn't have the backing of the money. The money was leaving him. So they had to drop him off. And again, I think Jill Biden knew it. Joe Biden probably knew it too, which is why when they left, Jill Biden right now is trying to burn down the house. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here. And we're very appreciative. Hey, but if you like to support financially, you can get super thanks, super chats, super stickers, and go to the description box below. And the links there you can click on to help support the channel financially. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.